Welcome back to the Chapter Athletic podcast, where we blend mediocre humor with run-of-the-mill runners and athletes and try to entertain you for 30 or so minutes. And sometimes we succeed, and sometimes we unsucceed.
And
Over to you.
That's
Today,
terrible.
hopefully, it'll be a
That's terrible.
success. Okay. Let's kick off with a bit of how are you? How are you doing? Let's go through our training highlights and lowlights of the week.
Well, I don't have many highlights this week. I've got a bit of a low light. I picked up a bit of a sore knee over the last few days. It's actually pretty bad. I'm having trouble walking. I've had a bit of a dodgy knee for a little while, but it's never really got much past a niggle. But in the last little while, my load's been pretty flat the last 4 weeks. Hasn't really changed or gone up and down. But yeah, pulled up on Friday night after a little tempo and could hardly walk. So I'm still in that phase of not being able to
And
walk
you have
very
some
well.
suspicions on what it might be.
Yeah, I think I've squashed the meniscus, which was something that was slowly happening for a while. But yeah, we'll just have to. I'll get an MRI, I think, and see what happens from there. But
So why would you have squashed the meniscus out of it? Is it just like a cumulative?
yeah, the meniscus is a shock absorber. The shape of my leg is like a little funny where if there's like a rotational force on top of like a compressive force, it'll just sort of squash it and put a lot of pressure on not very much meniscus, if that makes sense. So yeah, well, we'll have to see how that goes. I think normally they just need 8 weeks to settle completely and to recover, but we'll see what happens. It's
So
all right.
good.
Yes.
Yeah.
What are
It's
you going to do in the
highlights?
meantime? Yeah.
Probably do some swimming, I think.
Yeah.
Swimming, more gym. Yeah.
Nice.
Go from there.
Build up some strength. You got to turn it into a positive,
Yeah,
right?
it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
What about you?
absolutely. I've got 5 weeks to Gold Coast Marathon, so deep in the training, and I'm honestly so loving training at the moment. It's actually the first time I've been all into running where I haven't had, like high rocks or something else going on that I've also been training for. And the difference in my performance has been just having that focus on running has just been so good for me. And I've just noticed, my long runs and my endurance has just been so much better than last year and where I was. I'm so far ahead of where I was last year.
How big was that week that you did last week? So there's a big one.
It was
record.
a big one of 85 kilometers, which
Yeah,
is my
fantastic.
biggest week yet I've had as a runner. And there was definitely a real point around because I got injured around 75 kilometers and I had this number in my head. This was a while back.
Yep.
Back in December.
Was that the suspected stressy?
That Darcy helped to diagnose and
Yes.
help me get through. And so I had a bit of a mental kind of barrier around that 75 kilometer mark and was really worried. But it was good because we should be worried, and it's we are putting our bodies through a lot. And so I was just really conscious around fueling and, keeping up strength and all of that. And yeah, just managing load and I guess the paces that I was doing as well. So hopefully I can stay in one piece. And yeah, it's been going really well and I've absolutely been loving it. So it's been really good. Yeah.
Nice. And you're feeling confident for your goal for GC?
Yeah. Still, I don't really want to say my goal.
You don't have to say what your goal is, but I know when I was doing my marathon
Yeah.
prep last time, I was certainly not confident. You get to the peak marathon and you're just like,
Yeah.
how am I going to
Well,
hit this target?
I had no clue what I could do last year. And so I do feel like going into this year, I have an idea of where I'm at, or, I'm pretty confident in the range, I guess, which
Yeah.
I think is a really healthy approach. And, that's something that we've even discussed with Nathaniel in our episodes around, sports psychology, around having that range. So, because, anything can happen.
Yep.
But I feel confident in my range of goals
Nice.
that it could be. So, yeah, things are going
That's
well.
very exciting.
What about you? I saw you out on Sunday.
You did see me out. I just snuck outside. I don't know what happened. I woke up Sunday morning and I just thought, I'm just going to choose violence this morning and just run a half marathon.
Yeah,
So
nice.
I did that. To be honest, I have this goal of trying to run about 40 Ks a week just to maintain my fitness. And
Yeah.
I've been missing that by a little bit. And I thought, you know what? I'm behind, so I'm just going to do something really dumb to catch up. But ironically, I'm the oldest in this group. You know, I'm plus 40 now, you know.
Considerably, might I add.
Considerably.
Not mentally.
I'm very old. No, not mentally. I'm very junior mentally. But it's a really good highlight to go out there and actually, I wasn't trying to push it or anything, but like I felt good the whole time. Tried precision. I tried some precision fuel.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I've tried that, and that worked really well.
Nice.
Didn't cause me any issues. And just generally had a great time. Like started really early when it was dark and no one was around, and then saw the sun come up as I was getting to Hamilton. It was just a really nice morning out.
Yeah.
And I saw you guys and I barked and it didn't go well. Apparently the bark was very, I don't know, feminine. It wasn't like a convincing
It was a woof.
bark.
It was a woof.
It was a wolf.
Guys,
it was a polite wolf.
we do have this thing where we like to bark at each other when we run past each other. We won't go into
It's
it.
two groups of people. Anyway, I'm not the main barker, and I just thought I'd put on the barking like role, and it backfired.
If you hear barking around Brisbane, it's probably from.
It's probably not going to be me.
Your
If it sounds
wolf.
like a coughing cat, apparently it's me. If it's an actual dog barking,
Yeah,
it's
the boys were
probably-
quite concerned
Yeah.
and thought, God, this guy's sick.
Anyway, I was feeling that good. I tried to bark and that derailed it. But anyway, the run finished well, even if the bark
Good.
was not executed
Good.
correctly.
Good. Yeah. So, well, hopefully we can get you back and running soon. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
good to hear everything else is going well and you had a good run. And
Yeah.
just enjoying it.
Let's get into it.
Right. Well, we're going to kick off with something a bit different today. We're going to go into a bit of a dynamic segment, and this is going to get a little bit unhinged.
Unhinged? That's when the
This is gonna
hinge is
get-
inside us.
A little bit unhinged. Okay. So the brief today,
I hope we don't have the same ones.
I know, same. The brief today is these are running brands that should never exist and their slogans.
Do you want to just go like around?
Let's go.
Okay, so you go and then Darcy and then me. How many have you got?
I've got quite a lot.
Okay.
Have you?
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Okay.
got-
We're just going to keep.
15.
Okay, good. Yeah, definitely.
How many have you got?
3.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right, we'll just go backwards and forwards. That's all right. You can have some of mine.
Chafe and Chase Co. We rub you the wrong way, but in a performance sense.
Well, okay, you go.
All right. Nude shoes. Barefoot shoes that are so ugly, they double as the ultimate runner's contraception, keeping you locked into your training goals without distractions.
Nice.
I think that's sensible.
Yeah, it's way too sensible.
It's not unhinged.
This is related to yours, Zoe. Mine is chafe force. Pain is temporary, rash is forever.
DNPR, which stands for Did Not Personal Record. We peaked in 2022, and that's okay.
I felt that.
Yeah, that's a little too close to home.
Fartless performance gels, now with added gastro stop to keep you on the road and off the toilet.
That's good. Quitters Club. Start strong, end in an Uber.
Slay Station. Every aid station is a runway.
I think I've seen a meme on that.
New Balance are launching their new racing model for the mature runner, the 1960. Dubbed the Alpha Fly of the back of the pack, this baby's right at home on the track and behind the barbecue.
That's just what it is.
Yeah, that's just dad sneakers. Barely stride. For runners who kind of tried once.
Gut bomb gels. Digestive Russian roulette. Like that one?
I can just imagine. Anyway, I just had a visual that I don't want to repeat. Blister Beast, because socks are for cowards.
Strava caption generator. For when the race didn't go quite as planned, we've got a lot of excuses.
Taper tantrums. 2 weeks of pure psychological nightmare.
Couch to couch. Tracksuit, no track.
I like that. That was the athleisure kind of. Yeah.
Just
Nice.
couch to couch. You never leave the couch. You're just on a tracksuit, but you don't actually leave it.
This is for like a mapping, like when you map your runs and stuff, but obviously you're not using Strava. Map my misery when getting lost is the least of your problems.
Yes. Lolympics. Run like nobody's timing you.
Okay, so we're going to get into the next section, which is running headlines, which is where we talk about everything that is currently trending in the running world. And there's a big topical conversation at the moment with William Goodge. Obviously, we've been watching him try to complete this record, trying to beat the record to be the fastest man across Australia. And he has just wrapped up his 35-day feat. So have you been watching the documentary, first of all?
I have been, yeah, especially as a filmmaker and someone into documentaries. I've definitely been, I've been very impressed by the documentary-nism, that's been happening.
They've done a good job of making it look all very picturesque and very cool. They've done a great job with that.
Haven't seen much of the suffering either, which is interesting.
Oh, well, we'll get onto that, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. So
who is William Goodge?
So William Goodge is a 31-year-old British ultra marathon runner. He has a background in rugby playing, and he is a model, of course. Have you seen him?
It doesn't hurt that he looks like that to build a profile.
Man.
I know, right?
Yep.
And he actually had a series of concussions from his rugby career, and which led him into turning to something else. And he also, unfortunately, lost his mother to cancer, and which turned him to running. And he used running as an outlet, and to kind of cope with that. But he's had some incredibly notable runs. This isn't his first big ultra marathon. He ran from Scotland to Land's End in Cornwall, which is the length of the UK. Which was his first major marathon challenge. He also came 11th in Moab 240, which is also an incredible race. In 2021, he also ran 48 marathons across England's 48 counties in 30 days, which is incredibly fast, covering approximately 1,260 miles, which is a huge feat, of course. So he is not, there's plenty of other achievements that he's gone through, but he is not a newbie to this runner game as much as some people like to make him out to be, which we will kind of get into. And obviously we just kind of briefly mentioned the documentary, but I've got to say the content that came out both on his social media, but also the documentary was just, I couldn't believe how fast they were turning what was such a high production content series, and it was just so amazing to watch, and I really enjoyed following that along and how fast it was coming out, and it was so relevant and timely, and that I think it's probably one of the most and best documented ultra marathons that we've seen.
Definitely recent times. I've been keeping an eye on everyone that's done a challenge like that, and no one's really done it to this level, so I've got to find out who it's just one guy, but he's obviously killing it. He's very, very
Is it
good.
not the guy that has I can't remember what his name is now off the top of my head. The American guy who has the
He is an
brand.
American, yeah.
Robbie Belenga?
Yeah.
Oh, so he's the guy who's doing the... Yeah, right.
So I think I'm pretty sure he's a creative, also owns a fashion label.
There you go. Creative fashion label guys. It's a very niche thing to be into.
So the run from Cottesloe to Bondi.
Yep.
So it's across the entire continent of Australia.
This is the run that he has just broken.
Just broken. So Ned Brockman's record was it 47 days?
Wait, did Ned do the same run?
Yeah, this is the same at record.
Okay. And then someone beat Ned as well, because Ned wasn't the current record holder.
No, Ned was.
Oh, was he?
Ned was a record holder, and William Goodge set out to beat Ned, and he beat him by about 11 days.
Right. I had heard that it was just a bit of controversy. I'd heard that it was a guy, someone. Hello, podcast listeners. This is Future Laz just interjecting for a second, because I was in fact right. It was Chris Turnbull that held the current record, and I have made people aware of that by little text bits over the podcast, but the stuff you're about to listen to is just me admitting I'm wrong when I wasn't in fact wrong. So enjoy the rest of the podcast, because I'm right. And it was like 39 days or something was the current record. So there's some controversy for you. Maybe I was taking drugs when I heard that.
Maybe.
I'll look into that later.
So the record was held by Ned Brockman, and then William Goodge came in and shaved 11 days off his time, which is
massive,
huge.
Average of like 110 kilometers a day.
Yeah. And I think what was really what really stood out to me as well is when people were coming up to William Goodge in the documentary and kind of saying, oh, you're going after Ned Brockman's record. He was so humble about it, and the way he responded to it was really not, to bring him down or I want to beat him in any kind of way. It was just like, oh, another fellow amazing runner, which I just really commend his approach to that. And I thought was a really nice thing as well that was kind of, I took out of that documentary. So it was good because at the end of the day, these are all incredible runners, and what the hell, like none of us could do that. I'm going to put my hands up and say, that is out of my limits.
Yes, out of most humans' limits, I would say. It's crazy.
Moving into de-influencing running, our segment where we're talking about things that we see in the Instaspheres. We see whispers, rumours about things related to art, science, culture, maybe, to try and understand what is going on, dig into it.
What is it?
What it is this week is we're trying to understand the legitimacy of William Goodge's run. So I've definitely seen on quite a few different spheres people talking about, was he cheating? Was he not cheating? There's maybe like a precedence for this in a previous run that he did across America a couple of years ago, where I think that was like a 5,000 kilometer run, one of the biggest that he's done so far. And there was a lot of controversy about that one, which looks to have spilled over into this run as well. So for context, to have these runs be legitimate, it gets recorded in a couple of places. I think the first one is the actual Guinness World Record, which I think you have to pay quite a substantial amount of money to actually take the record. And then the fastest known time, which is a little bit sort of faster and looser, where for both of these you still need what's called like a Garmin InReach satellite tracker, which is sort of like a walkie-talkie satellite type thing. So that has to be, with the person at all times. Goodge has obviously used his running watch as well, which was like one of the high-end Coros watches. So that's the minimum, and then you have to essentially start from where you've stopped the previous time and make it all the way across. So even though you did mention before that there was a lot of content being put out in really timely manner, I think the people that have been a bit skeptical of this run have said, well, where's the correlation between like the Whoop data that he's got as well and the watch data and the Garmin data at the same time, like the Garmin tracker?
Yep.
So a lot of people not that happy. One of the main accusers is from William Cockerell. So this guy sort of followed Goodge around actually in that America one a couple of years ago. And I think they didn't get on where apparently Goodge threw a rock at his car. He was just like, get out of here, mate. You're annoying me. This guy's literally
fair enough,
100%.
honestly.
Yeah, if you're creeping. So was he the one that was kind of saying that he cheated in?
Yeah, so he was going to observe the run to make sure that he wasn't cheating.
And he
went all the way to America.
Flew out to America. I believe did he come out to this one as well in Australia?
I didn't see that, but I think some
maybe
people
it was just
did.
America.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So what led him to do that though?
He was a fellow British ultra runner, and I guess he was just skeptical.
He's a bit sus.
Yeah, and then flew out to America to try and witness it, which he then took back and said no, he's actually doing it. But fair on William Goodge to be like, fuck off.
Yeah.
Because
I'm
you're
trying to do something here.
You're trying to focus, and it is kind of bad sportsmanship, I think, to kind of... I get it if he thinks there's, I don't know, non-legitimacy, but at the same time, to fly out, I guess, you've not got a job.
I guess some people just want to see it for themselves. And if the speculation's strong enough and the suspicion's strong enough, I guess they're keen to go. Another person, big leading journalist, Alex Hutchinson, who wrote that Endure book, The Mind, Body and Curiously Elastic Limits of Human Performance. So he's like a key journalist. He's been, yapping about it a little bit as well. So let's dig into it then. For GPS, there's been some data anomalies that people have been suspicious about. Some of those being like the high-speed GPS pings, where every now and then that Garmin tracker would record, an 80 kilometre an hour segment where he's going obviously way faster than a person can run for 400 meters or a kilometre or whatever it might be, which could suggest that you're traveling in a car. So and there's another one as well, similar thing, 9 kilometre jump in location. But I don't know what to think about that because the GPS is a bit tricky sometimes.
But also you're in remote locations as
The
well.
middle of
Like it's not
the
going to
desert.
be accurate. And I'm sure I've seen people's, when you go for a run and their Strava jumps across like the river or something.
For sure, yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
who it
Yeah.
is. Like I've had friends when like it just kind of freaks out and it does like a funny map or something. That can happen.
Yeah, I've seen it happen for sure.
So just to clarify, that in-reach tracker, is that supposed to be on William the whole time?
Yeah.
So
I
on his
I
person?
think that's
Yeah.
what you see around in some of the photos around his body because he wasn't wearing a heart rate monitor. So I think that
He
could
wasn't.
be.
Well, he was, because the heart rate data was another...
No, it was from the watch,
that's the watch, was it?
I think it was from the watch.
I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was from the watch. The so the tracker just sits in the like a backpack or something. Just
Yeah.
looks like a walkie-talkie
Yeah.
type thing. So yeah, definitely seen those jump around. It's he'd been in the middle of the Nullarbor desert at
So it
some
wasn't
point.
at night.
Yeah.
So they looked at the data and gone, it's in the middle of the day when he's running, or for instance,
Mm.
it's not the fact that he's finished the run and
No.
is driving back to the accommodation, because obviously that makes sense.
No, I think it like has these like jump arounds and stuff. But yeah, in remote locations, I imagine that would happen. And then what was the next kind of controversy?
Other big scandal is the suspicions about the heart rate data
Yes.
not being correct. So it looks like he was wearing a Whoop the whole time, which would have been recording it, but apparently he's not providing that data specifically. The watch data was there as well, and it's not completely clear if he was wearing like a strap, because Strava, I was having a look at the Strava before. Strava doesn't tell you if the person was wearing an external heart rate monitor on top of the watch, but in terms of how that data looked, so take one day, for example, where I think it was day 33 on Strava, did 113 kilometers, almost 15 hours. The heart rate was averaging around 110, and there was almost 1,200 meters of elevation gain over that amount of time. So
That's a very low heart rate.
No, okay, here's my thoughts.
go.
It's a 7-minute kilometer pace.
Yeah.
Like that is practically a walk.
But you've
And
got
if
cardiac
you-
drift. Like if you're running for... I'm no,
this was early on in the run.
scientist.
So if it was later in the run when there was fatigue build up, I think obviously you would have that.
So that heart rate data was early in the run. It wasn't later.
A lot of the ones I looked at, the heart rate reduced a bit towards the end of the run. So it looked like naturally as he started to essentially walk more and have more like 10-minute splits, the heart rate does come down a fair bit.
Yeah.
And then the ones where he's moving a bit quicker, maybe they were 120, 115, 125 throughout the middle of the day.
It's
But
possible.
this man came 11th in Moab.
Yeah.
He's
True.
He's an ultra marathon runner. Like this is not his first rodeo.
Professional sport,
yeah,
most of his life, I guess.
He has, yeah, exactly. So he would naturally have a low heart rate anyway.
Mm.
At a 7-minute kilometer pace where you are stopping and,
And walking pretty
walking.
regularly. Yeah.
I don't think any of our heart rates would be that far off
Well,
that.
I think I would still be up in the 140s.
I
Just knowing me.
wouldn't.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Like it could
I've
be.
definitely seen really strong athletes have heart rates that low. Like
Yeah.
that actually doesn't seem completely out of the
I could
possibility.
name like 4 people.
Yeah, they're really obviously out of the standard deviations of what's normal. Like
Yeah.
they're like really fit blokes or women with very low heart rates. But I think it's possible. I think the heart rate part's possible, and I also don't trust the how reliable the watch optical one is towards the end of the day. Like mine whacks out sometimes, and I'm
Yeah.
like, there's no way it is what it is, and that might be after an hour. So towards the end of a day, salt, sweat. I don't know. I wouldn't be trusting an optical sensor at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
It does seem to go low. So,
I mean,
don't know,
at the end of the day, regardless of the data, what would be the point of him cheating? Because you're going all
Yeah.
the way to do that. You're
I
documenting
guess
it.
social
he's-
media is what their kind of angle is. And I guess that's why people are so skeptical. And a lot of ultra and marathon runners are kind of really scathing of him, I guess, because he's this like model and not a typical ultra marathon
Yeah.
runner. And I think they're a bit salty about it, And so they want to catch him out and be like, oh, you're doing this for following or something like that. Because obviously it is like quite content led.
Yeah.
But
He's good though. Like,
Yeah.
he did, because he ran across Tokyo as well, or Japan.
Yeah, just beforehand.
Just before, and
Yeah.
it's really compelling. Like,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, sometimes you win the lottery, sometimes you're an elite athlete,
Yeah.
you look really good.
that man has won the lottery.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do about it. You can get annoyed about it, but at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like in my mind, I don't think it'd be worth going to all that trouble
No.
of organising a crew, of obviously running at least part of it, and then just cheating for whatever reason. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't make any
And
sense.
if they were to cheat a little bit or not cheat, they'd probably still smash the record anyway.
Yeah.
So to,
It's 11 days.
yeah.
like how much would cheating really do it?
Yeah.
Because he obviously had his Achilles problem. Like, he's not just pretending to run for 10 minutes. Like he obviously was putting in massive hours anyway. So on balance, I would say it's legitimate.
Yeah.
But,
You've probably got like a very, very small margin for a little bit of accidental cheating, maybe like a 0.5% margin just for some accidentally every now and then, as long as it fits in. But yeah, I'm not convinced of the cheating.
Everyone said this about Ned as well, didn't they? I feel like there's always going to be like skeptics out there. So,
Yeah, that's true. Because in the lead up to the stadium event for Ned, he turned his Strava off. There was a whole thing. And at the end of the day, he still did an amazing job, better than what most people could do. And he just ran, what marathon did he run overseas?
Oh, he just did London.
Yeah, and he ran a pretty rapid time.
Yeah, he did.
So, like it was it was in the low twos. It was
2 minutes 30 and 5 seconds or something like that. Yeah.
Like he's an elite runner.
Yeah.
Like there's and now he's on some tour on a bike with his mate.
Yeah, with the local
around.
guy from around here.
Yeah, from Brizzy.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Ryan Fisher.
Yeah, Ryan Fisher.
Oh, him. Yeah.
With Celia, their cycling apparel company. They've gone around together.
It's pretty epic.
Yeah, I don't think Ned had been on a bike much before this.
But he's got so
tour.
much fitness.
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
Yeah.
Like riding a bike.
Except riding a bike is hard.
It is.
Like there's other.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
You've dabbled.
Yeah,
You've been bike curious before.
Dabbled in some
Have
triathlon.
you been bike curious?
Well, I've done triathlon, so
okay,
yeah. I don't like the danger of it.
That's actually the same.
Yeah, I would love to get into cycling more. I don't like the danger of it. I also don't like the cost of it. I want a nice bike,
Yeah.
but
I have a nice bike, so I've already wasted the money. Now I just have to keep it.
I'm going to have to use my bike over the next little while as soon as I can straighten this knee properly.
Yeah.
But I totally agree. Like I was stupid and crashed my bike once and like hurt my shoulder, and it was not right for like a year. Like I was pretty seriously injured in that.
But it's not even
area
about
for a while.
that. It's the drivers on the road.
Yeah.
Like it's not worth the risk.
And
Like as a dad,
Just the head knocks. Like
Yeah.
you never know when you're going to get
people are
a horrible.
aggressive.
Yeah.
Like when you're running, you can stay away from traffic, whereas
Yeah.
on a bike, you just have to trust the people are not having a bad day or whatever.
Yeah.
So
it is. And I think you have a few too many close calls, and then you're like, I don't know if it's worth it.
For
Yeah.
sure. I think
I
if you drive a car enough around on the road and then you realize how many not very good drivers there are or inattentive, you're like, why would I risk myself on a bike?
100%, not in a large metal shell.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I would love to more. If I could be just like, if there was the danger element taken out of it, yeah, great.
Maybe
I
we
agree.
can start
Totally agree.
chapter athletic Zwift
The Swift Club. Yeah. I'll pioneer that over
I
the
did
next
that
little while.
once. I spent months doing
Then I
Zwift
feel
and
like that would
FTP.
be
And
so boring though.
A little bit.
yeah, it's a little bit
Yeah,
boring.
there's no arguing that
No,
fact.
Yeah.
no, it's better
It's
to be out and
surprisingly
about.
hot too. You need like a fan to belt you. Where you're,
Yeah.
you're
Because you're
you're
not.
just not getting the air.
Well, that's like when
go
you're
past you.
running on a treadmill. Like when you get just so sweaty, you're like, why the hell am I sweating? I'm not
Yeah.
outside. And then it's because you haven't got that air.
I know. And then with cycling, you have to wear the nicks.
Yeah.
So you're wearing your bibs, like you just look like a mess. I'm just like, it's not worth it. Just get out and
Yeah.
run.
So that's our advice for this week.
Just get out and run.
Consider
I
cycling.
know I've said not to do it before, but yeah.
Right, so moving into our wellness corner, this is our segment where we talk about tips, advice, and research related to staying in one piece so you can make the start line. This time, what I
How's
wanted
that
to
going
do,
for you?
yeah, hey, this is my first injury pretty much in 5 years, apart from the bike crash. So,
And we've all been
yeah,
there.
exactly. That one was my fault though.
Yeah.
So I wanted to chat today about a new paper that came out. Basically, it's called The Running Readiness Scale and Injury in Collegiate Track and Field and Cross-Country Athletes. If anybody wanted to Google that and have a bit of a look at the paper, if they were interested, I'm sure there's a few
Imagine
people.
the
Hey,
acronym,
don't-
anagram acronym. Like, how long would that
don't
be?
judge. Don't judge. So the meat of this one was they got 113 Div 3 track and field athletes, 50 women and 63 men, average age of 20. So fit young people. They tested them all at the start of
that
their
like?
Yeah.
season.
What does that feel
Yeah,
like?
Not sure.
How can you even say that? You're like not far off.
They
Just wanted to wind you up.
So they tested them all at the start of the season with a series of 5 tests where they sort of passed or failed, and then they just saw what happened and who got injured, and then tried to cross-reference that with how they went in the tests. So all of these tests that I'm about to describe, they had to be done for 1 minute without breaking. They had to keep good form, so had to keep good, stability in the hips, can't let the knee dive in, got to stay coordinated. The first one was hopping on 2 feet at 160 hops per minute. So they played like a metronome and they're just, bouncing on 2 feet. Another one was prone plank for 1 minute without breaking form.
Okay.
Another one was step ups. So they had to do step ups onto like a short box at 160 steps per minute with good form, keeping up.
That's pretty
well.
quick.
It is pretty quick, yeah. So I wonder exactly how they counted that. But the other one was single leg squats where it was at 80 BPM. And they had to do 30
Single leg
seconds.
squats are
each
hard.
leg. They are tough. They
Yeah.
are tough.
I don't have the flexibility to actually do a single leg squat.
I could do it on 1 leg right now.
Because you only have one leg. You don't have much option.
Yar.
Hey.
Who's become a pirate? Anyway.
Captain Limp. Peg leg right now. So the other one was wall sits with the thighs parallel to the floor for 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end of the study, 37% of the athletes got a lower limb injury.
Whoa.
And yeah, that's not too bad, I guess. And the
I mean, that's almost half.
Yeah, I guess so. The ones who got 3 or less, so they passed 3, failed 2, they were a lot more likely to get injured. So in particular, the tests that were the most predictive was the double leg hop task. So 60% of those people got an injury. So I guess that makes sense, just trying to keep fast feet, keeping nice and stiff in the legs, being able to just bounce, not cave into the ground, have good timing over a longer effort like that. And the people who failed the wall sit, 100% of those people got injured, which was only 5, but they all got injured.
How would you fail a wall sit?
Yeah, you'd have to. Yeah,
You'd have to be quite
pretty
weak.
pretty low capacity to fail a wall sit
Because
for a minute.
how long did you have to hold the wall sit for again?
1 minute.
1 minute.
But they were Division 3 athletes. Like they're not just like standard.
Yeah, but then
You'd be surprised sometimes.
Yeah,
You'd be
especially I
surprised.
guess those younger people probably aren't into strength as much.
True.
Then they're probably just in their sport, I guess. So I guess the takeaway there is like hopping.
Yeah,
Get your hopping out.
Get the hopping
your
out.
Get your
suit and
plyos
then-
done.
Some squats.
Yeah, and
Squats
some
would be good.
squats are really important as well. So really just building up that strength to avoid injury.
It's pretty much most of what the research usually says is that if you do some pretty heavy resistance training and then you move pretty quickly on your feet, so you do some hopping, jumping type tasks, that you'll generally be more prepared for running and better at running.
Yeah.
So to boil it down into really simple things, stay strong and then stay bouncy.
Yeah.
I can do that.
Stay strong and bouncy.
That's why every day I wake up and I say, am I strong? Am I bouncy? I'm good. I just bounce out the door.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that we always know in the back of our head, but then when you are deep in training, and you've got like lots of running to do in a week, it's easy to let these things slip when you think, oh, I don't want to do my strength today because I'm running tomorrow and my legs will be sore. But that really accumulates fast. And I recently saw some stats around, plyometrics and everything. And it even like at 4 weeks, just over that time, if you take out your plyometrics, there's a huge difference as well. So don't underestimate how fast things can really catch up with you, I guess.
I think don't underestimate how small the dose has to be just to keep maintenance, which is the other one. So like you said, it is very difficult to balance the plyometrics and strength throughout the week. I'm normally trying to get athletes and runners to keep the dose pretty small and a little bit more frequent. So even if it happens to be 3 lots of 5 or 1 or 2 minutes of plyos with not that many contacts, just keeping that intensity and the strength there, particularly so you don't influence the next day's training, I find to be a really good way for athletes to effectively get a good amount in throughout the week that doesn't wreck the week's training from fatigue and keeps them strong and resilient.
And I guess that's what I always like encourage people to do as well, is like not look at it necessarily as like a leg heavy day, but then just break it up and have your strength sessions kind of decorated around your running. So like even today I did run and then I just did 2 sets of leg exercise and some calf raises and stuff. And I know that's not going to make me sore tomorrow necessarily and like hate my run, but then, I can supplement it with some extra leg exercises somewhere else in the week. And and then we've done.
That's a great point. Not having it be like a leg heavy day where you're like, I'm going to go and
Kill my legs.
smash my legs. It's just little chunks, almost like whole body day with some legs in there sprinkled throughout the week. So like you said, it's a great way to do it.
Just a bit of yoga, bit of
That's
whatever.
so me.
So you posted a meme last night about Pilates?
Yeah, I did.
So
I did.
You did?
I did. I posted a little meme and it got too many.
Oh, really? Did you get a bit of a hit?
It did.
Oh,
yeah.
it caught a bit of a. You're rage baiting. You're rage baiting the Pilates girls.
Yeah, apparently it's my thing now because people just like it. So it's going to become a thing.
There's worse things to be known for.
Engagement. It's just engagement farming.
Yeah.
If
You
it gets the engagement going.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, that was it. That was it. Yeah, well done.
I really enjoyed
Alright.
chatting.
Me too.
It's quite nice.
We should do it
this
again. We should do it again next week.
We should do this semi-regularly and post it on the internet. And, just as a record of what we do, what we talk about.
Okay.
Is that...
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
That's pretty much how Chapter Athletic was born.
Yeah, that's literally it. I just thought I don't want to be forgotten. I just want to record my conversations, and you happen to be in the room at the time, so now we're stuck with this.
Yeah. I
Keeps
also
working.
feel like we do need to align on our whether we're drinking Pepsi Max or Coke
Ooh.
Zero.
Well,
because
I just
I'm having
noticed
a
this.
Coke with
Boomer.
Boomer.
Yeah, well,
I
that
just grabbed
suits
whatever
you.
was
Okay.
available. I also
Are you a Pepsi Max guy?
have a
Zero
coconut
sugar
pineapple
guy?
slice I'm about
Yum. That
looks
to
yummy.
murder, which is great.
It's been sitting
So-
there where you've just been thinking about that the whole
I wanted to
episode.
grab it, and I thought it's inappropriate for me to grab food. Like I can grab a can, but I can't grab food.
And your iced
so-
coffee is just like
I know it's very iced now. It's quite diluted.
Okay, so
Shout out to
on that
Wolf Coffee
note,
Roasters.
thank you viewers for tuning in. Pepsi Max is the king of the no sugar colas.
Wait.
and
No,
that's it.
no,
I'm
no,
done.
no, no,
that's it.
no,
We're done.
no,
We're done.
no.
Wrap it up. Wrap it up.
No. Okay, we're
what
having
do we
this.
say about
We
interrupting
are
people?
having this discussion now. I don't think Pepsi Max is king.
Disagree. Wrong.
So what are you basing that off?
Wrong.
Purely flavor.
Flavor, texture, the way that it hits. The way that it hits you. Yeah, texture's a thing. Texture's a thing.
It's
Like
the
how
same
bubbly
texture.
it is.
They're both liquid.
That one's bubblier.
Anyway,
I don't even
this is
know.
not what our podcast is about. So
This is important, and it helps runners know who is right, and it's me.
okay, amazing.
On that note, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Hope you enjoyed.